Previously, after gathering overwhelming evidence of Patricia's fraud, including practice signatures, shredded documents, fake witness testimony, and medical records, I filed a lawsuit and had all of Dad's assets frozen. Patricia panicked, offering me increasingly large settlements to drop the case. The night before our court hearing, she showed up at my apartment offering $2 million and threatening to destroy my reputation. I refused. Now it's Monday morning, and everything I've worked for comes down to what happens in court today. The courthouse was cold. Not just temperature cold, though the air conditioning was intense, but cold in the way places of judgment feel when your entire future depends on what happens inside. I sat on a wooden bench in the hallway outside courtroom 4B, watching people flow past. Lawyers in expensive suits. Families in their best clothes. Court reporters carrying transcription equipment. Simone sat beside me, perfectly calm, reviewing notes in a leather portfolio. She'd been through hundreds of cases like this. For her, this was just another Monday. For me, it was everything. Patricia will arrive with her attorney, Simone said quietly. Don't react when you see her. Don't speak to her. Don't make eye contact. You sit, you listen, and when the judge asks you questions, you answer clearly and honestly. That's all you have to do. I nodded, my throat tight. I dressed carefully that morning. A simple navy dress, minimal jewelry, hair pulled back. I looked respectful, professional, calm. Everything I didn't feel inside. Down the hallway, elevator doors opened. Patricia stepped out. She looked different. Her usual polished appearance had cracks showing through. Her makeup was heavier than normal, probably covering stress-related breakouts. Her designer suit was wrinkled slightly at the elbows. Her smile when she saw people she knew looked strained. Behind her walked a man in an expensive suit carrying a briefcase. Her attorney, I assumed. He looked confident and slightly bored, like this case was beneath his usual standards. Like he expected to handle this quickly and move on to more important matters. Patricia's eyes found mine. For a moment, her mask slipped and I saw pure hatred flash across her face. Then she smiled, that fake sweet smile I'd seen 100 times, and started walking toward me. Simone stood immediately, placing herself between Patricia and me. No contact with my client, please. Patricia stopped, her smile hardening. I just wanted to say good morning to my stepdaughter. No contact, Simone repeated firmly. Patricia's attorney touched her elbow, guiding her to a bench on the opposite side of the hallway. They sat down and began whispering urgently. At 9 a.m. exactly, the courtroom doors opened. A bailiff called out, "Brooks Estate Matter, Judge Morrison presiding. All parties please enter." We filed into the courtroom. Simone and I on one side, Patricia and her attorney on the other. The room was smaller than I'd imagined from TV shows, with plain wood paneling and fluorescent lights. Judge Morrison sat behind the bench, a stern-looking woman in her 60s with reading glasses and an expression that suggested she'd heard every lie ever told. "This is a hearing on the petition to contest the last will and testament of Thomas Brooks, deceased," she began, looking at her computer screen. "Filed by Megan Brooks, daughter of the deceased. Respondent is Patricia Brooks, widow of the deceased." She looked up. "I've reviewed the initial filings. This is a serious allegation of fraud and forgery. Ms. Rivera, you're representing the petitioner." Simone stood. "Yes, Your Honor. We have substantial evidence that the will submitted to probate is fraudulent. Mr. Wallace, you're representing Mrs. Patricia Brooks." Patricia's attorney stood. "Yes, Your Honor. These allegations are baseless and motivated by the petitioner's financial desperation and resentment toward her stepmother." Judge Morrison's expression didn't change. "We'll let the evidence speak for itself. Ms. Rivera, present your case." Simone opened her portfolio and began methodically. She displayed the original will, the one Kyle had given me, and compared it to the forged version. She showed the signature differences, pointing out the stiffness in the traced signature versus Dad's natural flow. The deceased had a distinctive signature with a loop on the capital T and a flourish on the final S, Simone explained. The signature on the contested will lacks both characteristics. It appears to have been traced slowly rather than signed naturally. She moved to the next exhibit, the medical records. On the date this will was supposedly signed, Thomas Brooks was documented by nursing staff as unresponsive and heavily medicated. He had no lucid periods that day. He was physically incapable of reviewing legal documents or signing his name. Patricia's attorney stood. Objection, Your Honor. Medical records can be misinterpreted. Patients can have brief moments of clarity not fully documented. Overruled. The nursing notes are detailed and consistent. Continue, Ms. Rivera. Simone displayed the scheduling log from Dad's law firm. The meeting where Mr. Brooks allegedly signed this will was cancelled due to his hospitalization. The firm's digital calendar shows it was cancelled at 8 a.m. on the date in question. Yet the will is dated that same day with a signature supposedly witnessed by firm employees. She paused, letting that sink in. One of those supposed witnesses, Daniel Foster, was not even in the state on that date. Employment records show he was working at a firm in Portland, Oregon. His signature on this will is therefore fraudulent. Mr. Wallace stood again. Your Honor, this is speculation. Perhaps the date was recorded incorrectly. Clerical errors happen. The clerical error defense doesn't explain why a witness who was in Oregon signed a document supposedly witnessed in this state, Judge Morrison said sharply. Sit down, Mr. Wallace. Simone continued. She showed the metadata proving the document was created at home, not at the law firm. She showed the printer serial number matching Patricia's home printer. Each piece of evidence built on the last, creating an undeniable pattern. Then Simone displayed the reconstructed practice signatures, 20 repetitions of Thomas Brooks in Patricia's handwriting, each one getting closer to Dad's natural signature. She showed the shredded will drafts with Patricia's handwriting mixed in with Dad's. These documents were retrieved from Mrs. Patricia Brooks's trash, Simone explained. They show clear evidence of premeditation. She was practicing forging the signature weeks before submitting the fraudulent will to probate. The courtroom was completely silent. Patricia sat frozen, her face pale under her heavy makeup. Her attorney was furiously taking notes, probably trying to figure out how to salvage this disaster. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Mrs. Brooks, did you forge your husband's signature on the will submitted to this court? Patricia stood slowly. No, Your Honor. I would never. Did you create practice sheets attempting to replicate his signature? I may have written his name a few times while organizing his affairs. That's not forgery. That's exactly what forgery looks like, Judge Morrison interrupted. Sit down. Judge Morrison turned to her computer and typed something. The silence stretched out, broken only by the clicking of her keyboard. Finally she looked up. I'm ordering a full forensic document examination. The contested will, the original will, all practice documents, and any other relevant materials will be submitted to a certified forensic document analyst. We will have scientific evidence regarding the age of the ink, the authenticity of the signatures, and the validity of the document. She looked at Patricia sternly. Mrs. Brooks, I'm also ordering you to produce all financial records from the past 6 months. All bank accounts, credit card statements, and expenditure receipts. The court needs to understand how estate assets have been managed pending probate. Patricia's attorney stood. Your Honor, that's an invasion of privacy. Your client is accused of fraud and has access to estate assets. The court has every right to examine how those assets are being used. You have 10 days to produce the records. She banged her gavel. This hearing is continued pending the forensic analysis. Court is adjourned. We filed out of the courtroom. In the hallway, Patricia turned on me, her composure completely shattered. You selfish, ungrateful little. Mrs. Brooks, Simone said sharply, stepping between us again. I strongly suggest you speak with your attorney before saying anything else. But Patricia was beyond listening. The mask was off completely now, revealing the fury underneath. You're trying to destroy me. Your father would be ashamed of you. He left you that dollar because you deserved nothing more. People in the hallway stopped and stared. Court reporter paused, clearly listening. Patricia was having a complete meltdown in public, and she didn't even realize how badly she was hurting her own case. You're greedy and spiteful, just like your mother was. Thomas told me all about her, how she tried to control him, how he was relieved when she died. That's enough. Mr. Wallace grabbed Patricia's arm, physically pulling her away. Not another word, Patricia. Not one more word. They disappeared into an empty conference room. Through the closed door, I could hear Patricia shouting and Mr. Wallace's lower voice trying to calm her. Simone smiled slightly. That was incredibly stupid of her. Public outbursts, especially insulting the deceased and making claims that can be disproven, only hurt her credibility. He checked her watch. The forensic analyst will take about a week to complete the examination. In the meantime, she's going to panic even more. What do I do? Nothing. Go home, go to work, live your life. Let her make mistakes while you stay calm and professional. Simone handed me her card. If she contacts you, and she will, document everything but don't engage. Let her desperation show. I drove home in a daze, replaying the hearing in my mind. Watching Patricia's face as each piece of evidence was presented. Watching her realize that her perfect plan was crumbling. Watching her lose control in front of witnesses. Felt like vindication. But it wasn't over yet. That afternoon my phone started buzzing with notifications. I opened my family group chat, the one that included Uncle Tom, Aunt Sylvia, various cousins, and people I barely knew. Patricia had been added to this chat months ago, after she married Dad. She'd sent a long message. I need everyone to know what's happening. Megan is suing me, her own stepmother, trying to take everything her father left me. She's claiming I forged his will, which is absolutely false and hurtful. Thomas made his wishes very clear. He wanted to teach Megan independence, and now she's attacking me in court because she doesn't like his decision. I'm heartbroken that she would do this during my time of grief. I hope you'll all support me during this difficult time when my own stepdaughter has turned against me. I stared at the message, watching the reactions come in. Aunt Sylvia sent a crying emoji. Uncle Tom sent a prayer hands emoji. Several cousins responded with, "So sorry you're dealing with this," and "Family should stick together." Nobody asked for my side of the story. Nobody questioned Patricia's version of events. They just accepted it and rallied around her. I started typing a response, then stopped. Simone had said not to engage. Defending myself would just create drama and make me look defensive. Instead, I took a screenshot of Patricia's message and forwarded it to Simone with a note. "She's trying to turn my family against me." Simone responded immediately. "Perfect. Save everything. This is witness intimidation and attempted character assassination. It actually helps our case by showing her pattern of manipulation." I closed the group chat without responding. Let Patricia have her audience. Let her convince my family that I was the villain. When the truth came out, when the forensic evidence proved she'd forged the will, they'd all see exactly what kind of person she really was. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, another call from a different unknown number. Then another. Patricia was trying to reach me through different phones, probably using friends' phones or disposable numbers. I blocked each one and forwarded the call logs to Simone. Documentation. Everything was documentation now. 3 days after the hearing, I got an email notification from the county recorder's office. Someone had requested information about property ownership records for Dad's house. I logged into the public record system and saw that Patricia had listed the house for sale. She was trying to sell it, despite the asset freeze, despite the judge's orders. She was so desperate for cash that she was violating court orders. Called Simone immediately. She listed the house for sale. I'll file an emergency motion to enforce the asset freeze. That's contempt of court, Megan. She's digging herself deeper with every move. Simone paused. The forensic analyst should have preliminary results by tomorrow. I'll call you as soon as I hear anything. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Dad, wondering what he would think of all this. Would he be proud that I was fighting for his real wishes? Would he be disappointed that his family had fallen apart? Would he be angry at Patricia for betraying him so completely? I hoped he'd be proud. I hoped he'd understand that I wasn't doing this out of greed, but out of love for him and respect for the truth. The forensic analysis results arrived on Friday. Simone called me at 10 a.m. Her voice tight with controlled excitement. The ink analysis came back. The signature on the contested will was made with ink that's approximately 6 weeks old. Your father died 3 months ago. The will is dated 2 months ago. But the ink is only 6 weeks old. I sat down heavily. So she signed it after he died. Either just before he died or shortly after. Either way, she backdated the document. This is scientific proof of forgery, Megan. Ink age doesn't lie. The analyst is willing to testify in court, and his credentials are impeccable. Patricia's lawyer will try to discredit him, but they won't succeed. This is game over for her. When do we go back to court? Judge Morrison scheduled a full fraud hearing for 2 weeks from today. That's when we present all the evidence, including the forensic analysis. Patricia will have to testify under oath. And if she lies when she lies, she'll be committing perjury on top of fraud. That weekend, Patricia made one more desperate move. She started selling her jewelry. I saw the posts on a local buy and sell Facebook group. Diamond earrings, designer watches, gold bracelets. All the expensive jewelry Dad had given her over their 3 years of marriage. The prices were far below retail value. She was panic selling, taking whatever quick cash she could get. The desperation was obvious to anyone paying attention. Monday morning, she tried to withdraw money from one of Dad's accounts. The bank denied the transaction due to the court-ordered freeze and immediately notified Simone's office. Another violation of court orders. Another piece of evidence showing Patricia's guilt and disregard for the legal system. By Wednesday, she'd violated the asset freeze 4 times, attempting to sell the house, trying to access frozen accounts, pawning estate jewelry, and transferring the title to Dad's vintage coin collection to her name. Each violation was documented, reported to the court, and added to our evidence file. Simone filed a motion for contempt of court. The judge scheduled an emergency hearing for Friday afternoon. Friday's hearing was brief and brutal. Judge Morrison reviewed the evidence of Patricia's violations with an expression that could freeze lava. Mrs. Brooks, you have repeatedly violated this court's orders regarding the estate assets. You attempted to sell the family home. You tried to access frozen accounts. You've been liquidating estate property without authorization. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Patricia stood, her hands shaking. Your Honor, I have bills to pay. Have debts. I can't just sit here with no money while this drags on. That's not an excuse to violate court orders, Judge Morrison snapped. You have life insurance proceeds. You have access to your personal accounts. What you don't have is the right to dispose of estate assets while this matter is pending. She typed something on her computer. I'm issuing a restraining order. You are barred from entering the family home except to retrieve personal clothing and effects, and only with a police escort. You are barred from accessing any account, property, or asset connected to the estate. Any further violations will result in criminal contempt charges. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Patricia whispered. Good. Now we wait for the full fraud hearing. Court is adjourned. That evening, Patricia called me from yet another unknown number. This time I answered and immediately started recording. Hello. Megan, please. We need to talk. Her voice was different. Not angry anymore, not fake sweet, just tired and desperate. This has gotten completely out of control. You're the one who forged a will and stole my inheritance, I said calmly. That's what got out of control. I made mistakes, okay? I was stressed and grieving and I didn't think clearly. But we can fix this. We can split everything 50-50. The house, the money, everything. I'll sign papers right now. Just drop the lawsuit. Why would I accept 50% of what should be 100% mine? Because if this goes to trial, it's going to get ugly. My lawyer says he can make you look bad. He'll bring up every argument you had with your father, every time you asked him for money, every mistake you've ever made. Her voice hardened slightly. I don't want to hurt you, Megan, but I will if you force me to. Kept my voice steady. Is that a threat, Patricia? It's a warning. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. Do you really want to spend it being known as the daughter who destroyed her father's widow in court? People will think you're greedy and heartless. Or they'll think I'm someone who stood up to a woman who committed fraud. She was quiet for a long moment. Please. I'm begging you. Let's just split it and move on. I'll give you the house and $1 million. You drop everything and we both walk away. $1 million plus the house. That was roughly $2.5 million in total. Almost everything. 3 weeks ago I might have been tempted. But now, with evidence of her crimes documented and a court date approaching, I knew I'd win completely. Why settle for less when I could have justice? I'll see you in court, Patricia. I hung up and immediately sent the recording to Simone. Another piece of evidence. Another attempt at settlement that proved guilt. The full fraud hearing was scheduled for Monday, March 15th at 9 a.m. 10 days away. I spent that time preparing with Simone, going over my testimony, reviewing all the evidence, and mentally preparing for what would happen when I had to sit in front of a judge and tell the truth about Patricia's crimes. Meanwhile, Patricia's desperation escalated. She sent emails to my extended family, claiming I was lying about the forgery. She posted on social media about betrayal by those closest to you. She tried to access the house 3 more times, violating the restraining order, and was warned by police each time. She was unraveling. The controlled, manipulative woman who'd stolen my inheritance was being replaced by someone panicked and reckless. Someone who knew the walls were closing in and didn't know how to escape. On Sunday night, 36 hours before the hearing, I received a final text from her. I'm sorry for everything, but I'm not giving up. See you tomorrow. I didn't respond. I just forwarded it to Simone and went to bed early. Tomorrow was the day everything I'd worked for would finally come to fruition. Tomorrow, Patricia would have to testify under oath. And when she lied because she would lie, it would all be over. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. I dressed in the same navy dress I'd worn to the first hearing, wanting to project consistency and professionalism. I met Simone at the courthouse at 8:30, giving us time to review our strategy one final time. The forensic analyst will testify first, Simone explained. He'll present the ink analysis proving the signature is newer than it should be. Then we'll present all the supporting evidence, the medical records, the scheduling logs, the practice signatures. Finally, you'll testify about your father's intentions and your relationship with him. What about Patricia? She'll testify too. Her attorney will try to make her look sympathetic, the grieving widow just trying to honor her husband's wishes. But when I cross-examine her, the lies will become obvious. Simone looked at me seriously. This is the hardest part. You're going to hear her say terrible things about you and your father. She's going to lie about his wishes and your relationship. Come. Don't react. Let the evidence speak for itself. I nodded, my stomach tight with nerves. I'm ready. Good. 'Cause this is it. After today, the judge will make a ruling. And based on the evidence, I'm confident we'll win. We walked into the courtroom together. Patricia was already there with Mr. Wallace, looking exhausted and defiant. When her eyes met mine, there was no fake sweetness left, just cold hatred. Judge Morrison entered. The bailiff called the court to order. And the final battle began. This is a hearing on allegations of fraud and forgery regarding the last will and testament of Thomas Brooks. Judge Morrison began. I've reviewed all the submitted evidence and heard preliminary testimony. Today we'll hear from the forensic document analyst, witness testimony from both parties, and final arguments. Ms. Rivera, Call your first witness. Simone stood. The petitioner calls Dr. Marcus Chen, certified forensic document examiner. Dr. Chen took the stand, a distinguished-looking man in his 60s with gray hair and an air of academic authority. He was sworn in, and Simone began her questioning. Dr. Chen, can you explain your qualifications? I have a PhD in forensic document examination from Georgetown University. I've been analyzing question documents for 32 years and have testified in over 400 court cases. I'm certified by the American Board of Forensic Document Examiners. And what did you examine in this case? I examined 2 wills purported to be signed by Thomas Brooks, along with known samples of his genuine signature and practice attempts found in Mrs. Patricia Brooks's possession. Simone displayed the documents on a screen. What did you find? Dr. Chen adjusted his glasses. The signature on the contested will shows clear signs of being traced rather than written naturally. The pen pressure is uneven, the line quality is hesitant, and the natural flow of Mr. Brooks's genuine signature is absent. What about the ink analysis? That's where the evidence becomes conclusive, Dr. Chen said. I conducted age analysis on the ink used in the contested will's signature. Based on oxidation patterns and solvent evaporation rates, I can state with scientific certainty that the ink was applied approximately 6 to 7 weeks before I examined the document. Mr. Brooks died 12 weeks before my examination. The document is dated 9 weeks before my examination. The signature could not have been made on the date listed. The courtroom was silent. Even Mr. Wallace had stopped taking notes. The ink is newer than the date on the document. Judge Morrison clarified. Substantially newer, Your Honor. By at least 2 to 3 weeks. Someone applied that signature after the document's supposed signing date. Combined with the traced quality and the absence of the signer's natural characteristics, my professional opinion is that this signature is a forgery. Simone thanked Dr. Chen and sat down. Mr. Wallace stood to cross-examine. But what could he say? Scientific evidence doesn't lie. He asked a few technical questions about methodology, trying to find flaws, but Dr. Chen's credentials and analysis were rock solid. Finally, Mr. Wallace gave up and sat down. Judge Morrison made notes on her computer. Her expression grim. Call your next witness, Ms. Rivera. The petitioner calls Megan Brooks to the stand. I stood on shaking legs and walked to the witness box. This was it. My chance to tell the truth about Dad, about Patricia, about everything that had been stolen from me. I was sworn in. Simone approached with a gentle expression. Ms. Brooks, tell us about your relationship with your father. I took a deep breath and began to speak. And as I did, I watched Patricia's face across the courtroom. Watched her realize that no amount of manipulation or threats or desperate settlements could save her now. The truth was coming out. And this time everyone was listening,